I definitely think it was a bunch of things. For the US, it's about extracurriculars, academics, essays. I think it's like a combination of all three. For me specifically, I feel like my extracurriculars were different. And my research papers, I remember my first research paper that we had worked on was about the intersection of business and sports, which kind of was the interdisciplinary component in my application, which I feel like was something that was very interesting and stood out. I really enjoyed writing my Stern essay, and I feel like a lot of people coming into Stern want to do finance, and that is like the core component of their essay and their essays and their applications. And I feel like me taking the social entrepreneurship route, and then kind of explaining to NYU how Stern will help me move forward in that was something that I feel like definitely worked in my favor. And then everything else, my other extracurriculars, I worked, I did a lot of community service. A lot of it was very focused towards my sport. So it all kind of, I think it was an amalgamation of the things I was interested in and the things I wanted to pursue, and then kind of having that well-rounded application.
That makes sense, actually, kind of being honest about who you are, recognizing that, and sort of mentioning different achievements, but in a way that makes you also be humble and sort of project what you really are is so important in the whole application and essay writing piece. Okay, let's switch gears now. So you went, you were a brave heart and you chose to fly during the pandemic. The parents were not allowed to also drop you. But
Yeah.
how was it like settling in the academic sort of life at NYU, which is a fairly large urban setting, and also, in terms of being the pandemic year, how was your experience kind of dealing with everything?
Yeah. Thankfully, by the time my semester began, in terms of the pandemic, restrictions were loosened up quite a bit. All my classes were in person, thankfully, and things like club meetings, orientation, events, everything was in person, which was something that obviously I was very happy about. And then settling into what Stern is like, I think that's definitely very overwhelming at first, especially coming from India. I was a CBSE kid, so the kind of education and the kind of exposure that I had was very different and very minimal as compared to what I was expected to settle into. And then the academic settings, being able to kind of talk in class is something that we don't really do, and discussion-based classes are things that we don't really do in CBSE, which was something that I was adjusting to. But again, you have to remember that there's a lot of people that will help out, and a lot of resources that are there. And as a student, you don't really know that you have access to these resources unless you actually go and look out for them, which is something that I feel like every freshman should know of, and like at least know that you have people out there to help you, even if you are a little bit stuck. And I feel like meeting your advisor in your first year, in like your first couple of days, is very important because they help you plan out your academic journey. You can talk to them about the classes you want to take, and they're always ready to help you.
And so how did you like jump into classes which were more business focused, or you still had to do the gen ed requirements? Did you split that half and half? Which
Yeah.
you signed up for the next semester, spring 2022?
Yeah, so my classes right now were, I had to take the core classes, which was Stern's core requirement, which is your math and your statistics, and then you have one writing class. And I took an interesting class that was, it's called Impact Producing. It's at the Tisch School of the Arts. It was just like a spontaneous decision to take something that I haven't really ever done before. It's basically a producing class where they teach us about how films make impact, which was very interesting to me, because I wanted to study how business makes impact and then to study how films make impact. it was something that I found really interesting. And then as for my more business focused classes, that is something that comes more in my next semester and my years ahead. So I have accounting in my next sem, and I have microecon with calculus and things like that in my next sem. And then as I choose my concentration, I can take my more specialized classes.
Great. Of course, college experience is not just about in-class activities or studies and doing sort of exam prep in libraries. So what was it like for you, not just socially, but more engaging with the NYU and then NYU Stern student community? What all did you get involved with in terms of clubs and activities?
Yeah, so my most like favorite club on campus was the undergraduate Stern Women in Business. Just because some of the Stern clubs are very male dominated. You have like your investment societies and your finance societies, and they have like a very rigorous application and rounds of interviews to get in. And then you have like your like clubs that are very community based, like Aston Women in Business. It was just a club that I was instantly drawn to, and I did spend a lot of my time on campus working on their events. I also got involved with Net Impact, which is basically a club where you basically work with organizations that are making impact across the city. And then lots of extracurricular activities. NYU would give us free tickets to do a lot of things, to visit museums, to just go around the city. I spent a lot of my time going to the pier. I mean, you can de-stress in so many ways. And it's a great break from like all the academic pressures that are there.